Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you're doing well and staying safe. I'm Sakshi, I'm part of the marketing team at PayU. As you all know, PayU is one of the leading payment service providers in India, and we're across sectors like airlines, SMBs, and startup community at large. Upstart and Code Up, these two series, is our way of empowering businesses like you by bringing in subject matter experts to talk to our audience about various topics in businesses, around businesses and technology. Our today's session on Upstart is something which is very close to my heart because I've just started researching about it. It's about natural language processing and sentiment analysis. Seems big, seems wide, but it is something which is growing across industries. And joining us today are two wonderful co-founders of MyGen.ai, Jenny Sarang and Shammi Pant. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, while we set up and Jenny shares the screen, I would want to just quickly give some housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section and we'll pick it up maybe during or post the presentation. Without further ado, Jenny, would you like to share your screen and we could maybe start this entire journey?
Thank you so much, Sakshi. And while Jenny shares the screen, a big good afternoon and a big hello to everyone. I can hear my echo in my voice. Am I clear now?
I think you're fairly audible.
Okay, I'll know the echo on my end. It's going to be a little hard, but as long as you guys hear me well.
Yes, just one of you could be on mute while the other is talking.
Okay, sure. I can put myself on mute.
Okay. I can still hear them. Hopefully now it's working fine. Yes, it is. So a very good afternoon. This is Shammi Pant. I'm a co-founder of MyGen.ai. MyGen.ai here, AI stands for artificial intelligence. Jenny and I started this firm in August of 2019. That's when we officially registered it. And we launched our MVP within a year. And today we have 3 products, YouSpeak, Keyword, and WeMeet. In all these 3 products, we are using NLP, which is a subset of artificial intelligence, to help our customers understand and improve on their communication and conversational skills. Prior to the startup, I was working with Accenture as VPA in robotic process automation and AI, and I worked across different functions as a consultant, L&D, HR, and finance functions. I'm an engineer MBA, and in my 25 years of work experience, I've had sales, business development, held marketing roles in infrastructure, banking, and technology industry. So entrepreneurship was always a dream for me, and I've known Jenny from my early days since 2000 in GE. We worked there as colleagues. And as by now, some of you can guess, MyGen is actually named after Jenny. So it's like having your own executive personal coach with you 24/7, which thanks to technologies like NLP can give you personalized and contextual coaching as you move along your career and professional and personal goals. With that, I'll have Jenny introduce herself, and then we'll dive deep into what NLP is all about.
All right. Thank you so much, Shammi. My name is Jenny Sarang. I'm originally from the US, and I married an Indian and moved to Delhi about 30 years ago. I started my career in finance. I did my MBA from Faculty of Management Studies at Delhi University. And then I moved to corporate training about 24 years back. So I've had the good fortune of working with GE and heading learning and development and leading learning and development teams in 2 different GE businesses, GE SBI Credit Card and GE Corporate India. Then I became an independent consultant about 15 years ago, and I've had the good fortune of training people across 25 countries and 60 companies. So it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. Thank you. Back to you, Shammi.
Thanks, Jenny. So as Jenny brings up the screen, what we're going to do is we're going to first talk a bit about NLP and the technology behind it. Remember, both Jenny and none of us are coders, but it's been a great learning experience for us to understand AI and actually use it in our products and now sell those products. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about our company. We'll show you a small corporate video and also our favorite subject about what our entrepreneurship journey has been so far. And then we'll give you a live demo of our products, which will also serve as use cases of how NLP can actually be used in your day-to-day life to make your life better. Okay, so now as we move on to the next slide, NLP, it stands for Natural Language Processing. And this is exactly what it does. It teaches machines to process human language, to make sense of it, to understand it, and to generate it. Now, human language is a pretty complex subject. If worldwide you see we have 6,500 languages, and human beings, we love to talk. You'll be surprised if I share with you some statistics on the amount of data we produce talking. On a daily basis, we produce 80 billion texts. It could be WhatsApp or any other chat medium. And in terms of emails, the number of emails that we exchange daily globally runs not in millions, but in billions. We exchange 310 billion emails on a daily basis. Now, as all of you, we can't really see you, so I believe there's a large audience there. So, but I'm sure each one of you, the world you live in, you generate a lot of data, right? Whether you're texting on social media or even in your work, day-to-day work. So now most of the data that human beings generate comes under the category of unstructured data. Now only 21% of data that we generate is structured data. Now, so that tells you how complex NLP is, because for a machine to understand something, it has to be presented in a structured format. So NLP, or natural language processing, as it has evolved since the 1950s, it's all been about how intelligently we can convert this unstructured data into structured data and then slowly get into understand the linguistics part of it, right? Because unless you marry linguistics, which is the science of languages, to data science, which is all about machine learning, deep learning through statistical models, you kind of have to marry these two things at the hip to be able to convert this unstructured data into something structured that a machine can understand. Now, the natural question that could come is that what are the, why would machines want to do it, right? So one is machines understand what you write. So that is natural language understanding. So NLP can be broadly divided into two categories. So that's for the machine to understand what you have written. Now, the other thing is for the machine to generate communication. So you must have heard about speech to text, right? So the machine can understand and actually tell you what you spoke. Between these two, the understanding and generation part, understanding is a more complex problem to solve for when it comes to machine learning and deep learning. So with that, we could move to the next slide, where we will kind of step back and ask ourselves the question that, why do we even need to understand human language? I mean, why do we need to produce machine learning algorithms which can do that? Now, let's remember, as corporates or institutes or government, no matter what part of life, what work life you have, or even in your personal lives, 70 to 80% of your time you're spending communicating. That could be either talking, or it could be writing, or it could be in meetings, or you're presenting. So communication is a big aspect of this world's population. I mean, 7 billion or more of us, we spend a lot of time communicating. And now if I have to kind of just help you relate it to the business context, here's a statistic which is fairly powerful. 89% of workplace mistakes can be attributed to communication issues. Now, let me, give a dollar figure to that. So what does it mean in terms of financials? It means that if you're a 100-employee organization, on an average, you lose about $450,000 due to communication issues. Now, I hope you can kind of correlate and get it right, that if you can nail the communication issue, look at the business impact you make, look at the productivity impact you make, and look at how it will help, businesses' lives and the world become a better place. And not to miss, of course, social media, not to miss that, Elon Musk makes one tweet sitting in one part of the world, and then there's an Australian billionaire sitting in Australia, and they're actually there's a very famous story. I won't go into the details of that, where they actually contracted a huge business deal on Twitter, right? So, and the whole aspect of understanding the sentiment, it's become so powerful. The social media giants now pretty much are ruling the world, because within matter of seconds and minutes, they can process the sentiment of what people or what public at large is feeling about different issues, and that has huge value. So NLP is used in chatbots, understanding what people want, and increasingly, see, we are living in the world of personalization. Now, today, as Shammi Pant, if I go on Google already knows me, right, from my history. Now, guess what? What algorithms are behind that? Text my name, understanding what I'm writing, texting for. So it's therefore gives me a very personalized experience of my Google page or YouTube or Netflix. A lot of that is possible thanks to NLP, because it's able to understand you through what you are writing. And every company these days is all about offering personal experiences to their consumers. So to kind of summarize, NLP helps us in text sentiment, giving personalized services to our consumers, making sense of all the communication that's happening in order to provide better services to your customers and different stakeholders. Having said that, and while the research on NLP has really evolved to a large extent, and you, of course, some of you live with Alexa day in and day out and talk to Siri as if it's your best friend, right? There are challenges in NLP. And where are those challenges? Those are essentially language challenges, because language is complex. Let me give you an example. See, I say, I love India. Now I say, I love India. And now I say, I love India. Now, the way a human ear will process these three statements is slightly different. And why is that? It's because I combine voice modulation with the words to lay stress on certain words in the sentence, right? So the meaning kind of changes. Now, if I want to be sarcastic and I say, oh, really? You think you look pretty cool? Now, that does sound a bit sarcastic, I must say. Now, I could say the same thing. Oh, really? You think? You are looking pretty cool. So these are things, which are still some challenges that the research in NLP continues to evolve, that it can become more and more intelligent like a human brain and process the complexity of language to deal with sarcasm, to deal with, the unsaid, as you say, read between the lines, and kind of marry your body language attributes to how you speak or your voice modulation to help you make better sense of the context. So, but the way the science is progressing, I'm sure it'll catch up pretty fast. So now that we have some sense of why NLP is used, where it's used, and what are the challenges, let me just delve a little deeper into the technology behind it on the next slide. So as I made a comment earlier that NLP started way back in 1950s. So we've been at it now for good number of years, right? Good number of decades. It started with a model called bag of words. Now, bag of words is very similar to today what we call the first building block of NLP, which is nothing but tokenization. Tokenization, and I'm going to keep this very simple. The idea is just so that you get a layman sense of how the technology works. And if you understand it that way, it's pretty understandable, if I may say so. So tokenization is nothing but breaking a sentence into smaller parts. So for example, I say, I went to college yesterday. Now this could be broken up into 5 or 6 words. You could also do tokenization saying I can break one word into subparts. So that's how, as you can imagine, you're beginning to construct structure out of something that is unstructured, right? So you will give it a count, first token, second token, third token. Now, then there is something known as stemming. Now, if I just take the example of English language, every word has a root. So as the word stem, I'm trying to draw a mnemonic for you, right? Like if you look at the stem of a leaf, now you're trying to get closer to the root of the word. So for example, there's a word like affect or affectation or affecting. Now the root of all these 3 words is affect. So typically what in this step, in stemming, what it'll do is it'll pick up a word, it'll look at the prefix and the suffix, and try to identify the base word. Now, looking at words like that, this whole science is called morphology of words. Morphology of words is saying that, okay, I'm going to look at the prefix, suffix, and the base, and then get to the root of the word accurately. Because in English language, there are many words which have multiple meanings, right? So stemming per se could be inaccurate as well. But when you combine it with lemmatization, which is nothing but looking at the dictionary of morphology of words and trying to get more and more accurate through probability models to identify the root of the word. So for example, something like go, went, gone. The root is go, right? So I'm just trying to break it up for you, saying that, in effect, these algorithms, it's nothing but trying to mimic the human brain of how you learned language, how you were taught language. And that's how these different models from bag of words to TF-IDF, which eliminated some stop words, from a sentence like a and these words which don't really, have a meaning, or they just add up in joining sentences, eliminate those out. So it's a step-by-step process. The next thing is POS tags. POS tags is interesting, especially some of you are fond of languages. It's about looking at a sentence and saying, okay, which part of the sentence is a noun? What's an adjective? She's a beautiful girl. So, beautiful is the adjective, right? And the girl is the gender. So it's what all of us learned, at least in our times, in my school times, we had Wren and Martin, the big book of grammar, which taught you about nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives. So POS tag building block of NLP is about understanding what is which part of speech refers to what is a proposition, what is a conjunction, what's an adverb and adjective. Named entity recognition is like the game we used to play when we were kids. What is like identifying that I am going to the mall. So the mall is the marketplace. I means an individual. So it's really identifying, is it a human being that's being referred to? Is it an automobile? Is it an institute? Is it a marketplace? So it's literally, as the name suggests, name entity recognition. And finally, chunking. Now, once you've been able to do all of this with unstructured data, right? Tokenize it, get to the root of it, understand what's the adverb, what's the adjective. Now what's left? You're going to put it all together. And that's called chunking, and make sense of it and make a sentence. So these are the different building blocks. And as you can imagine, from 1950s to 2020, if you look at these different models that are listed on the page, from bag of words to TF-IDF to WordsVec, what have these models been trying to do? They've been trying to firstly extract data, understand data, and then with WordsVec, using techniques like skipgram, we went into neural processing. Now, what is neural processing? That's exactly mimicking how a human brain works, right? In a human brain, we make sense by connecting different neurons within our brain. So therefore, you have these different techniques which give you neural processing capabilities. Now, none of this, and we'll show you that even in our app, none of this can be put to any business use unless you add speed of computing to it. So you have models like transformer models and the BERT model, which helped you increase, and as the computing power increased, right? We know how that's why so much is possible today in the world of technology, simply because of the chip. It can compute so much faster. So these models ensure that they helped us do the sentiment analysis or run the algorithms at a very fast pace. And today we'll show you in one of our apps how KBird is able to analyze a written email and give you, emotion, sentiment, communication style in a matter of seconds. So this was a bit about NLP, the technology behind it, and trying to connect it to the world of business to see why we need it and how we use it. With that, I pass it on to Jenny.
Hi. So let me share with you our corporate AV. Just a second. I'm going to share what's a little bit about our company and how we came about.
Have you ever wondered what drives us? that thing that inspires us, makes our eyes shine, and motivates us to achieve more and more. We are MyGen, an AI-powered coaching company driven by data science and cloud computing. Every day, we take new steps, open paths, and evolve, addressing the future as a subject of the present. Everything started when Shammi and I worked together at GE. She's a hardcore business leader with diverse experience in sales, business development, and transformation. I'm Jenny Sarang, co-founder of myJen.ai.
Jenny is a very passionate executive coach and one of the best corporate trainers I have seen. She has created and delivered learning solutions with more than 60 companies across 25 geographies. I am Shammi Pant, co-founder myJen.ai.
The more I train, the more I realize that we need just-in-time, on-the-job, personalized solutions. Add to that micro-learning, which are small, digestible capsules, and you have a powerful mix.
We spend a lot of evenings sharing our workday stories. Irrespective of industry or domain, the more I worked, the more I saw that soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills is what determines success or failure at work.
We've conceptualized and designed 3 AI-based communication products: Kword, YouSpeak, and vMeet. Go to our website, myjen.ai, for more details.
Using NLP, sentiment analysis, and deep learning, AI today can give you contextual and personalized feedback. It mines data to show you inherent derailing patterns across teams, functions, and geographies. These can be invaluable insights for organizations and individuals to achieve business results. At MyGen, we are committed to developing AI-based learning solutions to help you make a better you.
Okay. All right. Let me go back to Shammi. And Shammi, you can just a second.
I can see that there are a few questions in the chat window. We will leave it to the Q&A session. But Jayant, once we give you a demo of our apps, you can even, perhaps it'll help you answer what's in it for you. And yes, of course, there's something called miners, right? Miners are people who mine. Now, you could be mining coal, iron, steel, or you could be mining data. And data mining is one of the hottest skills out there in the market today. So now, with the brief background, hopefully the video kind of gave you some context of what we're all about. We made this way back in 2019. Now, as I look back, I feel we've grown so much, haven't we, Jenny? So on this slide, we're going to share with you, our entrepreneurship experience in terms of, and we wanted to categorize it in these 3 categories. The fun we've had, it is a lot of fun. It is extremely challenging, and there is a lot of learning. So you have a range of emotions and a range of experiences as you live an entrepreneur's life. Jenny, let me, ask you, what do you feel in terms of, the fun you've had or some of the key learnings you've had?
Thanks, Shammi. Both of us, when we worked together at GE Corporate India, the idea really came up. We were friends, we shared a cabin together, and we hit it off as colleagues. And we stayed close over the years, and we kept our network and together. And it's been really fun working with Shammi because it's great to work with someone you really like and respect. In fact, Shammi and I, even though we're very different people, that's actually our strength because we complement each other in our partnership. What she's good at, I'm not. What I'm good at, she's not. So really, we are able to engage in a constructive discussion and get the best out of each other. It's also really fun to do something cutting edge, that adds a lot of value to society as well as to people. So that's what I've really enjoyed. Shammi, what have you enjoyed?
Well, one of the things I've just simply enjoyed being an entrepreneur, Jenny, is having the freedom and the amount of creativity it has enabled me to, experience. It's like making a baby. I am a mother of 2 biologically, but now, in the world of business, making these 3 products right from the scratch, you have to wear a technology hat, you have to wear a business hat, you have to wear a marketing hat. You even have to, I've learned in the last 2 years how even to be a better coach. So there's a lot of learning and there's a lot of creating creativity in almost everything you do. That's something that I've really enjoyed. And I do want to reiterate the point Jenny made that, when you decide who you're going to start your entrepreneurship journey with, I think that's a very critical step, because it's going to be a fairly roller coaster ride, and you need to have a huge amount of respect with the person you're going to be working with as a co-founder. If you're not just the only founder or whatever, your founding team, it's very important that, as a team, you all work very well together, because, you'll need each other through and through as you move ahead in your journey. Which also kind of, the point comes around the challenges, Jenny. I mean, if you look at the last 2 years, I don't know about you, right? There are days when you think, oh my God, how am I going to make it through this day? And it's almost like every mountain you climb and you think now you're there. Just as you reach the peak, you have another Everest right in front of you. And you realize that there are miles to go, really miles to go before you sleep. It's from that famous poem I'm reminded of. But it's a pretty challenging journey, isn't it? What do you think?
Absolutely, Shammi. And in fact, the pandemic has created transformational times. Our life is changing at hyperspeed, and companies are seeking more than just on time. They want just-in-time solutions where cost is also becoming a big factor. Hence, ROI on training specifically is a very critical metric. Companies are starting to get more comfortable with virtual training as well as AI coaching, but they're wanting more automated solutions that can be available just when the employee needs it. Holistic, blended solutions, which are a mix of AI coaching, virtual training, and some sort of measurement, which will help them improve their learning needs. So, making a product, though, don't assume that they'll use it. And that's, I think, been one of our challenges, is that, we made this great product, but then will they actually use it? So we are creating new learning, but we still needed to give some of the human touch. And that's one thing we worked on, to gradually ease in people into the process and make it more of a habit. Therefore, you need a webinar and digital content added to the AI coaching piece. Over to you, Shammi. What kind of learnings have we had in this period?
Yeah, I think, my biggest learning, I've grown so much as a person. I think entrepreneurship, if any one of you really want to experience life to the fullest, and in also, hardest, I would say, become an entrepreneur, because there are days really where you feel, oh my God, it's all coming crashing down and you will never get there. There are, of course, exhilarating days. Like I remember in September when we launched our MVP, we made our first set of clients within 20 days. And, those are early days. When you make your early set of clients, everything seems pretty rosy. Now, the point is you get to about 10 to 12 clients, let's say pretty fast, or at least we got to our 10 to 12 clients. Now that's when the rubber hits the road, right? Now, when you start putting your financials together in an Excel sheet, now 12 clients is not necessarily giving you the cash flows you need. And then you come to the whole problem. How can I make this 12 client business that I was still happily in the MVP phase of into a sustainable business which scales to 200 clients on a monthly basis? Now that's the equation, which is pretty tough to solve, right? Many startups are never able to solve that equation. How do you scale up? What parameters are required for scaling up? So while, I won't go into the depths of our business model and make it a technical discussion, but I can tell you as a leader, what leadership skills you require to be able to scale up. First and foremost is resilience and persistence. And you literally have to wear a bulletproof jacket where you will not allow yourself to get demotivated with any number of failures or hurdles that come in your way. And there will be hurdles, irrespective, especially in the world of technology. Creating a product is not a kid's play, in the sense that first of all, the design thinking, the UX, UI, then you have to look at the infrastructure, the whole scalability aspect of it, the security aspect of it. And then as you're dealing with B2B clients, the point Jenny was making around the pandemic, there are a lot of individual needs each client has based on their own security policies. Geographically, these days, we are dealing with a lot of variation in terms of what people are willing to accept or not willing to accept. And because of the increased personalization, gone are the days where, you can make a standard product and think that whatever investment cost you made from the standard product, you'll be able to make money out of X number. It's like literally personalization for each client. And a whole lot of value addition you have to do around it. So for me personally, we are at a stage where we have kind of proven our MVP. We've got, some good marquee logos as our clients, but now the whole equation of scaling up. And that's where we are definitely encountering. As an entrepreneur, if you don't encounter hurdles, that means you're not playing the right game or you're fooling somebody, right? Because it's not easy at all. And especially, the cash flows keep you awake many nights. It's been quite transformative at a personal level. It helps you evolve as a human being, and I think gets you closer to life, and you start appreciating. And I feel entrepreneurship can make you a better person if you allow it to be, a better human being.
Absolutely, Shami. In fact, for me, some of my learning has been, I didn't have any experience with artificial intelligence before we started, but I've learned a lot about artificial intelligence and I understand it a lot better than I did earlier, and how much AI can really bridge the gap, especially in communication, between a training program, a one-time, at a particular instance versus on the job just in time when you need it, business outcome coaching, which therefore impacts your return on investment. Now, learning mediums are also changing, and I think that's been a great learning for us as well, is how things are moving away from formal classroom training to virtual training to even nuggets. Like you actually see now people sending SMSs. There was a very interesting study about how they trained people through SMSing versus a classroom training on diabetes and eating healthier. And this was an Indian study. And they actually found that they had a much higher, more effectiveness in the people who were sent nuggets, a single, few lines every day about how to be healthy with diabetes was more effective than a one-time training. So we're seeing that. We're seeing podcasts. We're seeing 5 to 10 minute micro learning digital videos, and all, people are looking for a few minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, a short amount of time every day to learn. And training really is evolving. So it's been a wonderful learning. It's been a great team that we have, that I've learned from everyone in the team as well. So I've really learned a lot. How about you, Shami? Over to you.
I just want to add one thing, on the lighter note. Anyone wants to feel younger, let's say you're in your 40s, like I'm in my 40s, and when I started, entrepreneurship makes you feel like you're 20 again, because you have to unlearn everything that you have learned. You become a student for life. There are so many things you have to learn every day. I started my career with HCL and I used to do cold calls, sales cold calls. And after having held some fairly senior positions in corporates like Bank of America, HCL, even Accenture, I'm back to my cold calling days. And I think it just makes you younger, because you're learning every day. And I've learned how to record video content. I've learned how to write scripts. I've learned so many new skills in the last 2 years. And yes, learning definitely continues to make you feel and look younger. So if you kind of don't want to get complacent and old, and want to feel like, oh my God, I'm with it, and while you might not be in the millennial category, but want to feel like a millennial, entrepreneurship is for you.
Absolutely, Shami. Completely agree with you. I feel 10 or 20 years younger.
Yeah, that's what it does.
All right. Shall we now move to a demo of You Speak? So,
I think that's great. So now, we'll give you a demo of both our products, where we'll specifically highlight where we've used NLP as a technology to solve for a real business problem.
Great. Thanks, Shami. All right. So, the real business problem is you're preparing for an interview, or you have a presentation tomorrow, or you have an important meeting, or you want to influence your boss or your professor or someone to do something. So that's what our first product, You Speak, solves for. You take a video of yourself. This is a preparation coach using NLP to help you prepare for that important presentation or meeting or interview. So once you take a video of your whole body, then you upload your video to our AI app, youspeaknow.com, and immediately within 5 to 7 minutes of uploading, depending on your bandwidth, within a couple of minutes after that, you will get the report. So this is an example of a young woman's report. She's doing an elevator speech. We can see that she got a 1.9 out of 5, so she needs improvement. It'll give her feedback on body language, vocal tone, and word power. In fact, based on research from UCLA, body language is at least, say, 50% of the impact of our message. Vocal tone, again, about 37%, and words are mere 8%. However, we've given words about 15% in our algorithm. So if we look at, for example, body language, AI and NLP can pick up on your facial emotion. It literally takes a picture of your face every 1/60th of a second and adds up how your face looked throughout your entire video. So she looked calm 66% of the time, happy 13%. It also picks up her negative facial emotion. She looked angry 10% of the time. Now that's a concern area. If I'm preparing to talk to my manager tomorrow, I don't want to look angry, or I have an important sales presentation. That could hurt my impact. Now, we have coded it red, yellow, green. Green means good job. Red means a lot of area for improvement. Yellow means some area for improvement. And so, for example, we can see quickly here her eyes were good. She had good eye contact. She used her hands meaningfully. She didn't cross her arms and legs. But what does she need to work on? She needs to smile more. She only smiled 12% of the time. And we can also see that her legs were not equally balanced. 30% of the time, made her look a little nervous, shaking back and forth. She also had her wrists closed. In fact, if we see the video up here, we can see her standing like that with her wrists closed, creating a barrier between her and the audience. Now, each little box has the definition of what the box is, why it's important, and what does red, yellow, green mean. Now, we can also see that she didn't move her head enough. Her head was only moving, she looked stiff, and she only moved her head 2% of the time. She also stood with her weight on one leg, which made her look like she was dancing, again, making her look a little nervous and anxious. At the bottom, she gets clear actionables. What did she do well? And what could she do better? She could avoid closing her hands, keep her legs equally balanced, smile more. She could move her head more. She could reduce her negative facial emotion. Now, we also picked up her vocal tone. So she spoke at 164 words a minute, which is slightly fast. She didn't modulate her voice because we don't see a lot of ups and downs here. We can see her pitch. We can see her volume was slightly soft as well. Now, we're also able to see her word power. Now, here's where text sentiment comes in. Every word that she used aligns to an emotion, and then the emotion aligns to a sentiment. So her sentiment was positive, but she didn't have enough joy in her words. She did use some data. She had a fairly good number of unique words. However, her sentence length was slightly long. She had 22.8 words per sentence, and she didn't sound very assertive. She didn't use a lot of I statements, only 1.1% of the time. We can also see down here her top 6 most frequently used words are and of. For a short speech, that's a little repetitive. Her filler words, again, and comes, but we see just and so and actually as filler words. So at the bottom, we get what are her strengths and then what are her areas for improvement. Reduce her sentences, use more I statements, make her text emotion more positive, avoid her pet and filler words because they're too many. Now, again, sure, go ahead, Shammi.
Add here. I think one of us was mute. So, again, because I saw a question from the audience that, what's in it for me? Now, the thing is that when you communicate, the sentiment and the emotion you communicate through your words is very critical. It's critical in any role that you're playing. If you're a team leader, amazingly critical because you influence the lives of so many just by your choice of words. So, for example, if there is not a great situation, and if your choice of words is, and you're addressing your team, or even if you're talking to your manager or your customer and you're using the word, unfortunately, this has happened. Now, vis-a-vis, if you say, the situation is that we are, and in fact, today Jenny and I had to communicate something like that to a customer of ours, and we cannot overemphasize the difference it makes to how carefully you choose your words, to be watchful of the emotion and sentiment your words are generating with your stakeholders. It could be your peers, your bosses, your customers, even in your personal life. The words you choose when you're talking to your children, to your spouse, to your friends, to your partner can determine the overall satisfaction in life you have. And therefore, if you have a technology like NLP that can help you, improve a very important life skill that will serve you very well, do use it. And that's where NLP can help you and make a difference in your life by improving your choice of words.
Great. Thank you so much, Shami. So even keywords, if I add on to what Shami said, let's say you're preparing for an interview, and these days a lot of interviews are through video. They do look at the keywords for the job that you're interviewing for. So we actually do have a way of studying the keywords of the person. We can do something similar in customer service. Like let's say you had to say certain product words in a script. Again, that can be something that we can judge. And then they also, based on AI, we're able to get a transcript of your speech to text. So we know exactly what you said. The accuracy is at least 90%, for most people. And we even see a breakup by sentence. You can download the report in a PDF. And we do have, for every learner, we have their own personal learning dashboard, which compares them to other people across all the videos they've uploaded, tells you your strengths and your areas for improvement. And then we even have learning lessons. So if you go to our learning lessons, you're able to actually see we have many learning lessons. Like if you're studying word power and you wanted to study sentence length, we have micro-learning videos and practice exercises, which help the learner then holistically improve on each of those 25 areas. Now, in terms of our other product, Kword helps you work on your written communication. YouSpeak is on oral communication, and Kword is for business communication. So let's say I'm typing out in our web app, kword.com, an email, and instantly it will give me feedback on spelling, telling me I misspelled this word, telling me I misspelled this word. It also gives me feedback on readability. So instead of saying it takes me, which is passive voice, if I say I take, it becomes active voice. Instead of saying I have not been able to, I could not would be better. Instead of saying revert back, which is a redundant word, it helps me eliminate that. It also helps me eliminate spacing issues, like there's an extra space there. And then I can press the Analyze button, and I can analyze my email communication. So this could also be used even for a report that you're writing or somebody else's email that was sent to you. You can use it for a text on social media. And so basically it scored my email a 2.1 out of 4. Here we have our AI robot Taz, and it gives you feedback in 7 core areas. So for example, it tells you the communication style. So this communication style is moderately passive. It suggests to you to remove some of those tentative words. It tells you why it's important. We also see the same kind of thing about sentiment and the emotion. This email sounds angry 65% of the time, sad 48% of the time. It also gives you feedback on empathy. Why is empathy important? How to change. It gives you feedback on your writing style. Did you use any informal words? Did you open correctly? Did you close correctly? And then, some of my words are getting repeated. I had triple exclamation point, which makes me sound overexcited. Then it gives me feedback on clarity. Does my email sound clear? It's suggesting I break it up into smaller paragraphs or bullets. It's also telling me my subject line is disconnected with the first or second sentence in my email. And then there are spelling and grammar assessment, as well as word statistics, similar to some of the words that we saw in YouSpeak, like data, average words per sentence, filler words, and so on. And just like I have a dashboard in YouSpeak, I also have a dashboard in Kword. I can study for the last year, how's my communication been in various different topics. I can look at my communication style, which is great for data analytics. I can know exactly how I tend to write. I tend to write assertively 51% of the time, but I'm also aggressive and passive. I can see my sentiment. I can also see data points. I can see empathy. my best and worst emails. And similarly here, we do have learning lessons. So you can go, like if you wanted to improve on clarity, there are many exercises to help you improve on your clarity, quizzes, short micro-learning videos, and on every single topic that you just saw. So it's a holistic app that teaches you how to write better. And with that, back over to you, Shami.
Thank you. Just wanted to add, in my career, and which spanned roles across digital transformation, Six Sigma, and sales and marketing, I can tell you one of the most important sub skills of communication skills is your communication style. So communication styles, whether you're aggressive, you're passive, you're assertive, or passive aggressive, it can make a huge impact to the culture of a team, of larger teams, of the entire organization. And if you can learn to communicate assertively and empathetically, which today NLP can help you, coach you in that, I think that'll be a big life skill you will learn. So, we've been talking, it's been, more or less one-sided now for 45 minutes. We wanted to leave the last 15 minutes for Q&A so that we can have some interaction.
So I'll stop sharing the screen now and we can take it off as screen share.
Yeah. I did see a comment by Aditya Raj saying that in stemming, sometimes it doesn't have any meaning. That's absolutely right, Aditya. That's been my experience as well when I speak to my coders, right? That's why stemming and lammatization in NLP go hand in hand, because in lammatization, that's when you get more accurate with the morphology of the word, because you have the dictionaries in those libraries there. So you're right, stemming at times will not, just stemming as a building block of NLP will not make sense. I think somebody is talking about which country is using it. I would like to know more about it. Well, we are based out of India, but Jenny, as she mentioned in her introduction, she's an American. So we are pretty much a global company. She spends a lot of time in California every year. I'm mostly in India. I've lived in other parts of the world during my corporate life. So you can treat us as a global company, but we're registered in India legally. What would you say have been some of the wins for the brand in terms of strategy, product, and marketing? Let me take that. I think in terms of strategy, one of the biggest wins I feel, if I look back, and something I'm very proud of, is that because of the complementary skill set that Jenny and I bring, Jenny has been an L&D person, right? So her 25 years, if I have to kind of, summarize, have been in coaching people. So I have been on the business side. So when we designed these tools, I would always wear the business hat and every time question a functionality saying, how will it make a difference to the way I work? So I would always relate back to and share my stories with Jenny, saying that, I was leading this team of 100 people or project managers, and it was a global team. And the struggles I used to have was that some of them were not able to write crisply. Now, if you're not able to articulate what you want with data in a crisp manner, what are the chances that your email is ever going to be read? By the way, 33% of emails out of the 310 billion emails that are exchanged, only 33% are read. So even in large organizations, like I was working with Accenture, these are multiple stakeholders. Every day you're getting bombarded by 150 mails. So if my project manager is not able to go to drive action, so, marrying business outcomes and the business realities with coaching, which is what Jenny was bringing, I think strategically that's been good for us. In terms of branding, I think the first year that we spent building the MVP, we spent a lot of time making content. We actually made 100 digital videos, which means a lot of work, right? Writing 100 scripts, being behind the camera. We couldn't afford models. So it was Jenny and I, we learned that. And I think that's really helped us because customers, we realized it's, technology just won't sell for the sake of technology. There has to be a value-added proposition. It has to be using design thinking, right? You have to create a holistic solution. So that was, I think, a big win for us. Thanks for that question. Jenny, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been a real journey, and products have evolved. In fact, our latest product, VMeet, is another one under development, where we it's evolved to based on customers. Like some of the use cases also for our products are you're working on a presentation, or you're in customer service, and you need to improve your voice, or you need to improve your writing skills and writing back to customers. We've also had companies from junior to senior leadership want to work on making their employees really good speakers. So giving assignments. We've worked with IIM Udaipur, and we've worked with a couple of Hyderabad-based universities where we've done pilot studies where we had MBA students using it, and engineering students. And we had really, it's been an evolution, figuring out what's going to work. One size doesn't always fit all in terms of our strategy.
That's right. Okay, I have another question here, which is saying that you started your journey during the pandemic. What were the challenges? I'm so thankful, that you asked this question, because it has been extremely challenging. And I think the biggest challenge that the pandemic has given us is there's no predictability, right? It's like, because you see, the whole world is grappling with this new way of life. And as a result, whatever we knew of customers, the way they worked, what they wanted, it's changing, and even the customers are not able to articulate it, because even they are discovering newer hybrid ways of working, what will work, what will not work. So every time you think you've nailed the solution from a design thinking perspective, you realize, no, there's another dimension to it. So for example, many people congratulated us that, you're rolling these digital products out during the time of pandemic, so it'll be a cakewalk. No, it's not a cakewalk, because there's something known as Zoom fatigue. Right? I mean, people are just so tired now, while technology is offering you this connection. Look at us, we're talking to all of you without even being there. But at the same time, people are tired now of this. They want something different. So there's a lot of turmoil in terms of how we are adapting. And, we really don't know when this ends. And so even as your business, you have to kind of bake in all this in your business model and in your business strategy. So you have to keep pivoting yourself. It's like every day is a new day. You ask the same question every day, and you might arrive at a different answer. So you have to be very flexible, extremely.
Yep, absolutely. Be ready to pivot many, many times. In fact, we actually started this business before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit. So it was pivoting from that in the beginning.
There's another question on the chat.
Let's see. Somebody's written, "What's in it for me?"
I answered that. I mean, I've tried to answer that.
Yeah. Okay.
There's one from Gaurav.
Yeah, I'm reading that one. Hi, thanks for demoing your product. Great use of sentiment analysis. It would be helpful if you may add recommendations based on individual analysis. Jenny, you might want to answer that.
Sure. So actually, it is individual analysis. What I showed you earlier, the learner's dashboard, that's your personal learning dashboard. So it is very individual. It's you and your pocket myGen.ai helping you progress. So you know exactly how you're doing. It gives, those 25 things are all unique to you. For example, we might have someone who needs to work on smile. Someone else maybe needs to work on modulating their voice. Someone else maybe needs to work on their verbose, and their sentences are very long. So it's a very personal journey about what you individually need to do. And in fact, the way we've designed our learning lessons is that you don't have to go through all of them. You can pick and choose what you need to work on. So, let's say you need to work on modulation, you go to the module on modulation and learn how to modulate your voice better. So it's a very personal journey, just in time, when you need it, just for that important interview presentation or whatever you're preparing for. So it really, it is very personalized, in fact.
And I can see there's somebody from Algeria who's written in French. I studied French for 2 years, very poor. A poor explanation. Oh, thanks. That's from Algeria. Thank you. Okay.
So, there's one more I would like to highlight, which says that what has been the turning point for shifting your corporate journey to entrepreneur journey?
Yeah, very interesting question. For me, I am a very for the want of a better word, I'm a very free soul. So I think there were many times in my corporate journey, and it's got nothing to do with the corporate I worked for, but I always felt that I wanted more freedom. That's me. I need to be able to have freedom to create and I love doing marketing, business strategy, technology. I love delving into all of this. Now, unless you become the CEO of a firm, even with the CEO of a corporate firm, you have the board of directors sitting on top of you. So really, you're answerable to many, many stakeholders. And yes, in a corporate world, as you grow more and more senior, you have to deal with the systems and structures, and rightly so. Personally, I thrive more when I can create my own systems and structures, and basically live a more innovative life. For Jenny,
Yep. Sure. Thanks, Shami. Yeah, for me, I would say I have been an independent, an entrepreneur for the last number of years, but I really wanted to do something unique and pioneer into a very, new types of learning. That's for me what was really the drive, is to add value, do something different, do something unique that really makes a difference to people's lives, and be a part of a journey like that. So that's for me what really drove me to wanting to be an entrepreneur, and and do something really really make a difference to people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this. So, before we wind up, there's one more question. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting a business?
I think the advice, at least I would give you, is there's in Buddhism they teach you, if any one of you are spiritual by nature, but I'm telling you, entrepreneurship all gets you closer to spiritualism. One advice they teach you in Buddhism is that you should be able to attach yourselves to something as well as detach yourself from it. I think that's also written in Bhagavad Gita when Lord Krishna is talking to Arjun. And I found that very practical. So what will happen once you start your entrepreneurship journey, you will obviously get very attached, right? It's your baby. But at the end of the day, if you lose yourself into that attachment, because there'll be hurdles, you will get stressed. It will act as negative energy, which you don't want. So you have to have that emotional muscle to be able to detach yourself as well, and treat it at the end of the day that this is a game you're playing. You're going to give it your best shot. Be attached to what you're doing, giving it your best shot. Don't get too attached to the outcomes, and know when you have to kind of detach and step away, because too much attachment will muddle and will not help you get the clarity you will need as a business leader to be able to see, and differentiate between water and milk, right? And say, okay, no, these are the right decisions. So you have to develop that emotional, spiritual muscle, to my mind. Jenny.
Very nicely said, Shami. I'll add in, I think, pick the right team, who you want a partner who complements you. So when you're looking at who is the right person, make sure that you think about, do you both bring different skills to the table? Whoever's in your team, is it really, we don't want to hire similar people. In fact, we generally have this tendency to hire people like ourselves, but actually we don't want to do that, especially in an entrepreneurship model. You want to hire people who are going to add value, who have different skill sets or different types of people. That's something that I think is really important. Resilience, flexibility, like Shami mentioned, being also willing to unlearn, relearn, someone who doesn't feel like you know it all, and be really flexible. And like she said about days, we've had days where you're like, oh, where are we going? And then days where you had to pick yourself up again. I think reading, there's one book that I really love. It's called The Little Book of Coaching by Ken Blanchard, which is about how high performing teams, what's their success? Their success is when they have success days, they never feel full of themselves. And when they have failure days, they don't get lost in the failure. Yeah. Every day they pick themselves up, and tomorrow's a new day, and you start all over again. And you keep looking for, perspectives, pivoting, flexibility, and resilience. I think those are something that, and learning. Those three important skills of being an entrepreneur.
So true, Jenny. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Thanks for that. I mean, thank you so much. To be very honest, it's been wonderful to know more about, NLP and sentiment analysis, the merge of technology, data into, languages, and how businesses and even individuals can adapt it. A lot of people had this question at the start, and I'm sure all the questions have answered that how can we adapt both as businesses and individuals? So I think that's been wonderful. Plus, I think both of your journeys has been great. What I have learned so far is, a part of you is there in what you guys do. I can feel both of your traits, characters. They always say, right, passion leads people to places, and that's what I could feel while both of you were talking. And I think diversity, where you said there's always a match between two people, you complement each other, and I think that helps people grow in all spheres in life. So I think that's also one thing I picked up through this conversation. Again, it's been wonderful. Any last parting away thoughts, any mantra, any lines you would want to share before we kind of close this evening?
I think my only mantra is don't take yourself and life too seriously. Right? At the end of the day, you're here to have fun and give it your best shot and stick to that.
Okay. I completely agree. Lovely quote. Absolutely. I mean, I think, yes, don't give it your best shot. For me, it's, put everything you can on, do as much as you can, what you have, where you are, give it your best, and then see. And hopefully that takes us very far.
And there's one quote that Jenny often, it's her favorite quote. And since Jenny didn't say it, I'll say it for her. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. So that's one quote that, if that stays on your work desk as an entrepreneur, that'll help you on many rainy days.
Yes.
Awesome. Great. I mean, thanks for the spirit. I think you made this entire conversation very lovely and full of spirit. And I think we know where the merge of both of you to this sentiment analysis comes into picture. So thank you so much once again. I really appreciate both of you being here, and thank you everybody for watching us. Stay connected, stay safe, and we hope to get both of you again on board in future.
We'd love to.
Yes. And please, guys, stay tuned for the coming up events this month. We're looking forward to again host all of you at Upstart and Code Up at PayU here. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you so much,
day.
Sakshi. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.